Welcome to Behind the Veil. I'm Daphne. I will be your host and guide through the journey of weddings, faith, and marriage. Get ready to go behind the veil. Today we have a very special guest. This is someone that I have really deep conversations with, and I thought to bring her to the podcast so that we can have one of those here. So she is a newlywed, about 3 months into marriage, and I'm just going to take you guys through her journey and where we are at this point. So welcome to the podcast, Itunu.
Hi, Dav.
Hi, Itunu. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. It's so good to have you here, and I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
Me too.
Yeah, so let's get started. Let's jump right into it. So from the beginning, what was like your vision of marriage and getting married? Was that something that you always wanted to do, or take me there?
I actually love this question because I am here for the girlies who did not dream of getting married.
Okay.
That was not a dream, a vision, a passion, a desire ever. For me, not that like I didn't like weddings or like the idea of marriage, but it wasn't really like a goal for me. I didn't really dream of what dress I was gonna wear, what it was gonna look like, nothing like that. My person that I like would look up to, even though she was so problematic, was Mary Jane from Being Mary Jane. And she was like,
is that the show?
It's a show, and she's like super successful. She wears nice clothes, she steps out of a nice car. That's what I would think of. I wouldn't think of dresses and marriages. So it's quite funny that I'm at this point, but yeah, I didn't have a vision of a wedding or a vision of marriage really.
Is there a reason for that?
I just think that my personality probably lent itself a bit more to being more like career driven. And I think that's something quite normalized in men, but like when a girl is like that, people don't quite like understand it. So I think it was that. But there were definitely people in my life that had nice marriages, and I thought they were sweet, and they had nice families and things like that. But maybe I just couldn't really like envision.
That was not your focus.
Yeah, envision it for myself. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, well, we got to a point then where you found your someone, your personal person, and you got engaged and all of that stuff. What was that like process like for you? Because you said that obviously at the beginning you weren't thinking about marriage, but then you found yourself with someone. Were they thinking of marriage? Was that conversations that you guys had? How did that make you feel?
I think because we're Christian, but when you enter a relationship, like, what's going on then? Like, what are you doing? And it's not like we were trying to like casually date. We met at university, so we met when we were 18, and we got together when we were like 19. So for us anyway, I know it's different for other people. We're not talking about marriage at the start. We're like going to the cinema and hanging out in the library. It's not like that. But I think as the relationship progressed and we're like, oh, we like each other and whatever, then I don't even know if it was so much of a conversation. I feel like we just knew like that's the next stage. That's the next stage for us. And maybe the conversation was more like the practicalities around it. When would we want to do it? How would we want to do it? That sort of thing.
Okay, so you said something about obviously you're Christians, and so that's kind of like the next thing that's expected. Have you always been a Christian?
Yeah.
So was that like, do you think that your faith then made you think about marriage?
Yeah, to be fair, I guess so. So if we scale back a little bit, I remember when I met my now husband, and we were friends, and it was like, oh, there's feelings and stuff. I was freaking out because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to date him and he has to be my husband. And I'm 18, what the actual heck is going on? And I don't believe in overthinking. I do think that you can date like around and stuff like that. I'm not against those things, but I do think my Christian faith probably like quite naturally put marriage in my mind when I thought about a romantic relationship. Like it's not just going to end with boyfriend and girlfriend forever and always. Okay,
so then how did you feel then when you got to the stage of where he proposed, and you now have to think about, of course you said that you've always been kind of like a career woman, driven in that sense. Did that make you feel some type of way, or think about how being a wife and then also being a career woman would then come into like your life, how like which space they will take?
Yeah, I guess everything was always a conversation.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, sometimes we speak about, have conversations with your boyfriend or with your fiance.
Yeah.
Like, you have to sit down and have weekly meetings. Like, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But I think these were conversations, and I'm someone who's always asking questions. So I'm like, what kind of person are you? Like, if, let's say, I was to bag my dream, and when I say career, it's not even necessarily the 9 to 5, it's like other dreams and goals and stuff. If I was to bag a career that meant I'm traveling all the time, how would you feel about that?
Okay.
What kind of household do you want to have? Are there ways that we can compromise? And I think a big thing for us was like being very comfortable with the idea of compromise before we stepped into it, because we knew that, I would say that I'm married to someone who probably is a bit more traditional in some ways, like in terms of like their conception of the household. In some ways, we can probably unpack that a little bit more. So then, obviously, being with somebody who like wants to do this and bounce around and whatever, there's compromise for him, but there's also compromise for me. So we spoke about that.
So what I'm hearing is, during your dating stage, you were thinking a lot about your career as well, and also having those conversations and making sure that your person was on the same page as you with the dreams that you're going to have. So you don't want to feel like, you know, because I'm getting married, things are going to stop.
God forbid. What kind of silly rubbish is that? You marry someone and all your dreams die in the floor. No, and I think that's why it was so important to have those conversations, because it's like, am I going to be with you and then I'll be trapped in my house?
Yeah.
That's not what I want.
No, that's good. Yeah. I think it's also reminding me of like my own dating stage with my husband, because I've always known that, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. God has put all of these big dreams in my heart. Yeah. And I can't be with somebody who will be intimidated by the dreams and the goals that I have. Yeah. So it was always important to also have those conversations that, you know, how would you feel if I was to quit my job? How would you feel if this is what I wanted to pursue? Yeah. So I guess those are really important things. Okay, so you've gotten into the stage where you're now engaged. How did that make you feel? Actually, no, before we go there, let's talk a little bit about the dating stage. How long were you guys like dating for? Because you met at uni.
We met at uni. I was like very in denial about liking someone, because a boy, yuck, throw up. I was very, very in denial, but we had a really close friendship. Okay. And we started dating when we were like 19, and then we broke up. Okay. We like dated for like a year and we broke up, but it wasn't a real breakup. It was a fake breakup, because we were still talking to each other all the time. And then we got back together. And then we got, what a mess. And then we got back together. So I think like from that time to like engagement, I always get the years wrong. It was like maybe like 5-6 years.
Okay, so you dated for about 5-6 years.
Yeah, I think so.
Would you recommend?
Oh, don't even ask me that question. Don't do it, guys. It's too long.
But you know what? I guess it makes sense
because of when we met.
Because of when you meet. And I think that's always an interesting conversation, because I always see people like on like social media, they like to do this rage bait thing of, you know, we've been together for 10 years. And then when you look at when they actually got together, they got together when they were like 16. Yeah. So obviously the timeline kind of, it's okay in that sense. But how was it like dating for 5 years? Of course, as a Christian also, we know that there are certain limitations when it comes to dating. We're not trying to date as the world does. Like, how did you guys handle that?
I mean, sorry, in my head, I'm like TikToking, like, did I do the maths correctly? Guys, don't listen to me. It may have been more than 5 years. It was 5 years minimum, 5 to 6 years, whatever it was. It's hard and it's horrible, and I would never recommend it. Like, what the actual heck? Never, ever. And me and you have had conversations about this, but it's kind of like, as much as I say that, I say it in jest. It is difficult because obviously, like, you have feelings for each other. You like want to express your feelings and you can't. So, and the longer it is, the harder it is. But I think, so it's not something that I would recommend. However, I'm very aware of where we're at. Like, when I say we, because we kind of have a similar situation. It's like, you meet someone at uni, you meet someone when you're 18. You're not, for us, you're not getting married like when you're 20. There's nothing wrong with that, but that's not happening. So you're gonna have to
just have to adjust.
Yeah, you have to adjust, and you have to figure it out. And
Yeah.
I think also having an end goal in mind. We're not just doing this for like an endless amount of time.
Yeah.
We know what we're working towards, kind of makes it easier. But I think it's hard. And I feel like if you're dating now, like at 27, you probably are not gonna date for
I always tell my friends this, like, if you are in your late 20s and you're dating, nobody will be dating for 4 years.
I don't think
before then getting married. I even always joke with my friends that I'm sure, like, once you find your person, after a year, they're gonna propose, and then you go about your life, kind of thing.
And it happens. Even people who meet people at like 25, and stuff like that. People are a bit more established, and all of that kind of stuff. So it's different, but
okay.
It's hard though.
Fabulous. Okay, so you're now engaged, and you're planning your wedding. How was your wedding planning stage? Like, how did you feel? Like, what was that process like?
Wedding planning was, and I know you've said this before, the actual planning is fine.
Yeah.
I like planning stuff. I feel like my personality lends itself to it.
Okay.
Even certain things maybe I do in my job or had done in like, you know, extracurricular stuff at university lends itself to like events and whatever. So I enjoyed that. I feel like my husband was helpful. So it wasn't a thing that I felt like I was doing it by myself. I have really supportive people around me. So it was good. Like that element of like the practical element of actually like planning booking things and figuring out what you're doing. And we were engaged just for 9 months before we actually had our wedding. So I think that kind of like it sped up the process. You can't think too hard and too long. You just have to book things and get things done. So I enjoyed that. But it was difficult. And I think that the other elements of it is that when you're getting married, there's other people involved. There's like your community, your family, that kind of thing. And those things, like that side of things can be really hard. And I know that for me, that was hard in some elements of it as well. And kind of making certain decisions to say like, if there are unhelpful, toxic behaviors, mindsets, approaches from family, from community that is going to disrupt this wedding, you're not. I'm gonna have to X you out, and that's quite difficult. That is really difficult, and I think I've said to you before that I think that like. My perspective is that a wedding is just a day. I'm not going to kill myself because of 24 hours. It's not even 24 hours. You do snap picture, you're there for like 2 minutes. You know, I'm not going to kill myself over it. I'm going to try to have an enjoyable time, a great time. But allowing certain like toxic behaviors or to be involved in that day has ramifications for after that day, especially when it's like family, when it's community.
It's people that you love and people that you want to be there, but if they're making, you know, things difficult for you, I think it's always, I feel like I had the same, I think so many people who are getting married would speak to this situation of the planning itself, booking vendors, that's not even the hardest thing. It's like dealing with people's expectations, dealing with everybody's emotions. Like, how do you juggle that whilst still trying to enjoy like the process and then also thinking of life after? And
hear me out, like I've had a lot of friends that have got married and like watch wedding videos and all that stuff and watch the TikToks like everyone else. I'm not talking about my mum wants me to wear red asoebi and I want to, well, my friends wear red asoebi and I want them to wear green. Like, not those things can cause issues and stuff like that.
But it's minuscule in the grand scheme of things.
I'm not talking about that. And people do fall out with their parents over things like that. Like, and they see sides of their parents, their siblings or whatever that they're like, what are you doing? But I'm talking about like more harmful things than that. So I'll give you an example. So when I was coming here, I like stumbled onto this video on TikTok and it was like somebody getting married. It was actually their wedding day. And the woman was saying her vows and she said that, like, let's say his name is Tom. He was like, I love you, Tom, flaws and all. That was in her vows. Then the mother-in-law pipes up and she's like, don't say my son has flaws.
It's like, what?
She's saying, don't say my son has flaws. And the son told her to be quiet, but she kept on going, the bride and the mother-in-law were fighting in the ceremony of the wedding.
Yeah,
now I'm not saying that she should have uninvited her mother-in-law, but there's elements of that behavior
that we
would have seen before. So I think some people, you actually need to like sit down with yourself and be like, we're gonna grapple this, and we're gonna grapple with this in this wedding process, because
before we get into marriage,
if you're gonna be there in the marriage stage, is that how you're going to be dictating what I do in my household? Let's sort that out now. So I think for me that was hard, and it was hard like realizing sometimes that certain behaviors that I've let run in the past, I can't anymore. Yeah, I can't. Before your mum is saying, don't say my son has flaws.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Okay, so it's interesting. It's interesting that you say that. How do you then, because I think that's where a lot of people struggle, isn't it? Because you have certain behaviors that people have shown, and because it's been kind of like dealt with within the family, like within the immediate family, you've just thought, you know what, it's okay, like I'll deal with it. But now when you're getting married, it's like other people are involved, other families are involved. So the madness that I may be able to deal with in my family by myself, when it comes to then introducing that to other people, you start to become a bit more wary and thinking, okay, I need to do something about this. But I think most people, they still don't know how to go about doing that. So what are some tips or things that you can say people can do to get to a place where they feel comfortable to put their foot down, even when it comes to their own family? What would you say to them?
I'm not an expert, but like, I'll use an example, not in my situation, but let's just use a hypothetical example. Let's say, for example, you've got a sister and your sister is selfish. She's a selfish person. And everybody in your family knows that. What's her name? Jenny is a selfish girl. We all know that. And one thing I want to challenge in what you said is that I know how to deal with it. A lot of the time, even you in your family system, you've accepted a level of toxicity. And what's actually happened is now somebody else has come, you're now embarrassed because because it's obvious now. People say, what is going on? Why is she doing that? And you're like, oh, she's just like that. So let's say Jenny is a selfish person. I think number one, it's acknowledging this person's character flaw or behavioral issue, and being able to like call it something. My sister can be quite selfish. It doesn't mean you hate her. It doesn't mean that, you know, you are never going to support her or involve her. But acknowledging that, that's number one. Number two, okay, how is my sister's behavior going to potentially impact my wedding? And for me, it's not about the wedding, after it. So is it that I'm going to tell Jenny, sit there, she's going to say, no, I want to sit over there, and is she going to be disruptive? Is she going to try and make your hen do your bridal shower, her hen do her bridal shower? What does that look like? Actually, but even before that, having a conversation with Jenny, I love you, but you have some selfish traits, and I really do want to enjoy this wedding process with you. I thought it was something that I'll point out to you and kind of see how that's received. Some people don't know that they have certain behaviors, but some people do. And if you can see that your sister or whoever it is not willing to adjust, you now have to start making the difficult decisions. Does that mean Jenny won't be a bridesmaid? And if your mom's like, no, you must do it, she is your sister, la la la, you have to decide.
You have to put your foot down,
and you have to decide, is this something that I'm willing to, it's like a sacrifice, is this something I'm willing to sacrifice? When I see Jenny in those pictures in 5-10 years, am I gonna smile at them? If she now starts breakdancing when I'm supposed to be having my first dance, can I swallow that? If you can swallow it, have her. If you know that you can't, deal with it. I think like we shouldn't be passive for peace, because it's not real. It's not really peace.
Okay. I think it's such an interesting like conversation, like dealing with people, dealing with emotions, dealing with expectations, but also just bringing it back to, of course, we're like Christian, and some may tell you that, I think you've just said it now, like you want peace, so why not just, you know, forgive them for whatever it is that they're doing. Okay, so you're not of like that school of thought.
Because it's fake. Like, it's fake. If you were a selfish friend or a self-centered friend, you come to my birthday every year, you take the spotlight, you actively do things that disrupt my happiness. Yeah. I'm gonna sit there every year crying after you left, and because of peace. It's not about peace, it's not about forgiveness. And honestly, I do think in the Christian community, beyond wedding, beyond marriage, we need to be a lot better in like not spiritually bypassing things. We are called to call people to a higher standard. We are called to correct people. So, and it's all about your approach. If I say, Daff, not gonna lie, it's been 5 years and every birthday you come with a crown on your head. It's my birthday. I don't appreciate that. I why do you do that? Is there a reason you do that? Okay, cool. Please don't do that going forward. Now, if you want to say, no, I must do it. I must do it, then it's up to
more
me.
boundaries have to be put in place.
Right, and a boundary is not ungodly.
Yeah.
I
love that. Okay, fantastic. So, wedding planning. So you've mentioned like some of the things that were like good in terms of wedding planning. You had good people around you helping and all of that stuff. What are some of the key things that you will tell people to like look out for bar setting boundaries with family and stuff, to kind of make their wedding planning process a little bit easier? What are some of the things that you would recommend that was helpful for you?
Do what you want to do. It's your day.
Yeah.
Don't like let the pressure of, you're trying to make like so many people happy cloud your day. But still be kind, and where you can adjust. Don't be too resistant towards it. If there's ways that you can honor people, do that as well. I think that like when people know that you appreciate them, whether that's your parents, whether that's your siblings, your bridesmaids, your groomsmen, it makes it easier. Because some people are like, I hated my friend when she was a bride. Like, you don't want to be that. I think, remember that there's relationships that exist after this process. So be kind, do what you want to do as much as you can. Where you can adjust, where like it's not going to impede on your desires, do that too. I think that makes it easier. And also remember, I keep saying it, remember it is just a day. I appreciate the fact that maybe because I didn't grow up dreaming of a wedding, that's why I have like this sort of perspective. It might be a lot harder for someone who as a child has always dreamed of this day, because it isn't just a day. But when I say it's just a day, I mean it quite like literally. Yeah.
I think there's that element of, it is just a day, but it is a monumental day.
It's an important day
in your journey. Just thinking about the sacredness of marriage, as a covenant, and all of those things, it makes it really important. But remembering that it's just a day, because it's literally a couple of hours of celebrating, because the most important thing is you've gone before the Lord to make your vows and decide that we're in this for life. That is the most important thing, and then everything else that comes afterwards, because that was just like me and my husband, we're just like, get us to the altar. Anything else that happens afterwards, I don't care. So I think
it's an extra.
It's an extra. So no, I agree. It's just a day. Don't die because of one day. So wedding day has come. You've had a great time. Like, how did you find the wedding yourself?
I love my wedding day. I think I like entered it with this mindset of like, this is just a day. We've paid money for this. I must shake my bum and enjoy myself because like, you know, we've made it here. So I really loved it, and it was nice to be surrounded by love, and I'm really happy that our priority was us, because it was so evident on the day, like that the people that were there loved us, and it was like just a lovely day. I don't know, filled with love from all angles. So I really did enjoy the day. It was nice.
I love that. Okay, so now you've been married, how long is it in?
For like 3 minutes.
You just arrived. You just arrived. But how are you finding, married life so far? Like the short period of time. Is it what you, I know that you said you didn't really have, did you have any expectations? So I know that you said you didn't really dream of like a wedding or anything like that. But did you have expectations coming into marriage once you realized that, we're actually doing this? And then are those expectations being met so far, or?
even though I didn't dream of marriage, when I knew that like I was with someone and I liked them, oh my gosh, I became a student of the topic.
Yeah.
I would watch so many videos on like YouTube and all of this kind of stuff. Like, so I think I went into it quite informed.
Okay.
Because I felt like I should. Like, I feel like if you're embarking on anything of importance, like, you should prepare yourself. So I went into it informed, but everyone always say this, that you can read as many books as you want. The book is not specifically about you and your person. So you're still going to learn things. I enjoy it. I think it's fun. It's nice to, like, live together. I love living together and just, like, being big kids together. I think like it's just a continuation for me of like our story and our friendship. It doesn't feel like I'm your wife or you're your husband. Like it's like we're friends.
We're friends living together and doing life.
And this is fun. So yeah, I enjoy it. That doesn't mean it's not hard.
Okay, so far in the short space of time that you had. Okay, so what are some of the challenges that you're then what makes it hard?
I was gonna say like, listen, but anyway, everyone is different. For me, like everyone is different, because I was gonna say maybe people aren't being honest, but it's not about dishonesty. Everybody is different. I think that like by virtue of being with someone that is different from you, it's always gonna come challenges. Some people may not have as many challenges because maybe them and their partner are really similar. Maybe one person is like, maybe they're both very avoidant, so they don't even deal with any issue that they really do have. You don't know. Focus on yourself. But for us, I'm not impartial to an argument. We can argue about stuff for sure, because we're trying to understand each other. It doesn't mean, oh, you're throwing things around the house or whatever, but like there's going to be things that you disagree on. There's going to be ways that you misunderstand each other. And that happens, and that, I think that's normal.
And those are, you think that's like one of the things that makes it hard, because you're trying to
understand each other. Yeah, for sure. I think you're trying to understand each other. It's a different person. And there was a book that we read. It's called Marriage Takes More Than Love. And I would actually recommend it. And it was saying that like you have to be like a student of your partner. Like you need to like study them, learn them. And if you've been with someone for 3 months, you're not going to know everything about them. So there might be things that you don't understand, and you think, why do you do that? And why do you do that? And you grapple with that together. But the foundation is always love, and the aim is always to understand each other. So I think that like that can make it really difficult. And then the last thing I'll say that actually can make it difficult, which I don't think I hear a lot of people speak about, and I may speak about this differently in times come, because it's a very early stage. But I think that like certain trauma that you've experienced, even in your wedding planning process, can impact your marriage or how you feel in your marriage. And I definitely feel like that was the case for me, and it's something that I'm still like dealing with now. So it's not really a problem with like my husband, but I think it's like it's in the marriage, isn't it? It affects the vibe, you know, sometimes. Because let's say you're all going full steam ahead to get this goal and do this wedding, then you finish and then you deep what has
just happened.
What has occurred. And that can be, for me, that's intense. Because I think, and everyone has a different personality, isn't it? Some of us, like, we're kind of like more delayed in our responses. But sometimes you feel, wow, this person really said this to me.
No, I think it's so normal. I think it's so normal to do that, because when things are happening, you just feel like when you're planning a wedding, things are being thrown at you in all directions, and sometimes you don't have time to catch your breath because you then need to move on to the next thing, because you're almost on like a time crunch when you're planning this day. So sometimes you don't really sit with everything that is happening, and then after, and I think this is why people look forward to kind of like their honeymoon, because they're like, we're just gonna rest, we're gonna sleep, we're gonna, my mind is going to be free from all of the worries of planning a wedding. Because you now have that time, you get to look back and think, What on God's green earth?
Yeah, like, what was that?
Yeah.
Like, literally, like, what was that?
What was that?
What was that? And I think sometimes that's why you do, like, listen to these podcasts or whatever, and people be like, yeah, I fell out with my friend of 10 years, and I never realized she actually was such a horrible person. Do you know? And they'll be saying these things and be thinking, whoa, but I get it, because it's like, you've now had time away from the situation, so now deep everything. Yeah. And that can be really, really intense, I think, and also depending on your circumstance and your situation, like maybe specifically for you as the bride. Like I think there was a podcast I listened to, I remember being like, oh my gosh, Daph, look at this, where the girl was talking about how I think her family really disappointed her, and there was a day that she was crying, I don't even want to do this wedding, everybody hates me, nobody loves me, and it sounds like really extra, but I think that for some people they can have those moments, like if you're now, or when you now get, I think for her that happened whilst they were actually in the process, but let's say if that happens to you when you're married, your husband now has to deal with that. You'll deal with your disappointment and your sadness about maybe how you weren't treated the way that you wanted to be treated, or things didn't happen the way you wanted them to be. So
I think that a lot of the things that happen when it comes to people, your community, your family, it moves forward with you into, because then you have to think about, how do I now navigate these relationships after this day, because I have gotten a glimpse of the madness that I probably didn't know how deep it went. So how do I now, I don't know, do I talk with this person afterwards? Do we then have another conversation where now I feel more level-headed and I've had time to think about this situation? Or, you know, certain things were done to us, to me and my spouse. How do we then decide to move forward with this person? Does my husband want me to move forward with this person, or are we having a difference of opinion in the way that things happen?
Even things like that.
So it can, I can see how it can obviously come into the marriage, and you're trying to figure out how to move things forward.
I completely agree with you, and I think that it's something that no one should feel ashamed of it. Like, I think if there's a situation where, so let's say we use the example we used before, don't say my son has flaws. Okay, now after the wedding, now when you've now had a great time, you've come back from your honeymoon, it's 1 month, it's 2 months, it's 3 months. Now as a wife, you're remembering, your mum said this to me. You're going to have that conversation with your husband. I don't really want her hanging around with us that much. Or if there's weekly, bi-weekly dinners that I don't want to attend.
I don't want to go,
And you have to, like, have that conversation. And that can probably be, like, awkward for people. Or I don't like that I don't like your friend. I don't want this friend to be around us anymore.
Well, it's these things that you will, I guess that's where you guys start, like, making decisions, like, together, and thinking of the life that we want to curate. Who do we want to come along, and to what extent are they involved in this? Because I think a lot of people do speak of, you know, don't let people into your marriage, but then they enter they do things
to invite
them, like, it's weird. But anyways, I digress. Okay, so I presume you're enjoying being married. Now, let's go back to what you said actually at the beginning, of, you know, being a career woman, wanting to do your own thing, have your own goals. Do you feel like now that you're married, you still have space to kind of do your own thing, and just be you, as well as being a wife?
Do you know what's funny? Because, like, I don't know, like, I'm like 3 minutes into this thing. Fundamentally, I always find it really interesting when people, like, being a wife, like, it's almost like being someone's mum. Like, there's, like, some, like, stuff that I have to be doing every day. And I'm not gonna, like, dismiss that maybe things do change. But I do think that, like, that can sound intimidating to some people, because they're like, what do you mean being a wife? I'm just being myself with this person. Like,
okay.
Do you know what
putting, like, so you're kind of, you don't like, I don't know if it's the title, because I think the title is there. You are somebody's wife. But I think it's the depth to which people start to make that their personality. I think that's what you're talking about.
Right, make it your personality. And also, like, I think everybody's different. I always say this, everybody's different, so the way you want to do things is different. For some people, I'm a wife now, so this is a role, and in this role I do certain things. Some people will enter it. I cook for my husband every day, I clean the house, I do something.
They wear it as a badge of honor.
Yeah, they wear it as a badge of honor, and they see it as a role. Kind of like when somebody becomes a mum, I take care of this child, I change their nappies, and
I'm a mother,
I'm mamacita, and all of this stuff, So I think that, like, I came into the situation as myself, and I'm with somebody who likes me as myself and wants me to be the best version of myself. So I don't feel limited in any type of way. So when you say, juggling being a wife with being like your goals and stuff, I don't necessarily see it as a juggle. Not at this stage. It's very early. It's very early, but I don't see it as a juggle. I feel like I'm being me and with someone who loves me for me and wants me to be happy and do the things that makes me happy and facilitates an environment where that will happen.
But do you see a difference in, like, being married, and so it's the married Itunu and the Itunu prior to marriage? Do
I see a difference? I think maybe you have to, like, consider someone else. So you can't just be, like, doing whatever you like. Probably, like, that's the difference. And I don't know. Like, I think that I care about my relationship, so I'm never going to do anything that's of detriment to the relationship. I'm going to be present in the relationship in the way that works for our relationship, and also be myself. They don't have to be two different things. So when you say that, like, is there a difference? The difference is that I have to consider somebody else a lot more.
No, I think that's what I was trying to get at. I think because obviously for people who think about a lot about their career, and all of those things, it sometimes becomes a thing of, like, you have to choose one or the other. And that's never really the case. So if you are driven, you don't lose your drive simply because you're now a wife and you think that you need to fit into a mold of what you think a godly marriage should look like, or this whole idea of even, like, submission and what that looks like. I feel like it's been warped over time. And so people feel like they have to lose themselves or lose their identity because they've become a wife. And obviously your career is important for you. The goals that you have is really important for you. Same as myself. So it's important that you don't lose your, your personality. You don't lose your dreams because you are married.
Because you're married. And for different people, it will be different. Like, you're an entrepreneur. I work, like, a normal 9 to 5, but have my own, like, goals and things that I want to do. But some people, they have, like, really demanding day jobs. Like, so they're a lawyer and they're trying to, like, work up the ladder. So maybe you are going to be, like, working until 11 p.m. That doesn't mean you're not a wife. That doesn't mean that you haven't adjusted. Like, I think the person that's marrying you knows what they're marrying. And you all have to
adjust and compromise
to each other. Right. That's kind of, like, how I see it.
Fabulous. Okay. So also just looking at, like, the faith aspect of things, I feel like we kind of briefly mentioned it, but I'm intrigued to know, like, how your faith helped you not only in, like, your wedding planning, but then now that you're also married, like, how does your faith show up within your marriage as well as, like, prior to that?
Faith in the wedding planning, like, you have to pray. Do a lot of praying. Praying with our families, our bridesmaids, our groomsmen.
That's something that you guys did.
Yeah, that is something that we did, and we did that a lot. I forgot how often. It was, like, bi-weekly prayers, and, like, in the month of the wedding, I think it was weekly prayers. Doing a lot of praying towards the day, praying to go smoothly, that it represents Christ as well. That was, like, a really big thing, that, like, we want people to come to this wedding and, like, feel the love of God. Like, it's not just, like, a show. That was a really, really, really big thing. So praying about that, and then in faith in my marriage. It all feels so serious. I feel like I said, I've made myself, like, a student of the topic of marriage, before entering marriage. And I think that there are biblical truths that I guess can just sound like random pieces of advice, like like something can be biblical and then now it's like a cute, like,
quote that people
use, but you don't know that the root of it, like things like being kind, being like patient, all of these things, like the fruit of the spirit, like being kind, being patient, being gentle. I think the gentleness one is such a funny one too, because I remember speaking to one of my friends. She was saying like, her boyfriend says sometimes she'd be speaking to him a bit harshly, and I feel like some people say, oh well, that's your personality, like don't let anybody like tell you that you shouldn't do what you're doing or whatever. And I'm somebody who also like can be quite blunt and whatever. But in the same way that I should be gentle to my husband, I should also be gentle to my friends and my colleagues. Yeah. So these are all like godly traits. So I think I try to
embody those.
Try to embody those, try to adopt those, and just not be toxic. Like, and if there are certain like toxic traits, so what toxic is thrown around, like don't be problematic in your house. Like if there are like bents that you have towards being a certain type of way, also like remembering like, okay, I need to be patient, I need to be kind, like that's God's standard. It's not even about like just being a nice person.
No, I love that. I think it's so interesting that you speak of I guess that's like your temperament, isn't it? That kind of falls into that. And you're saying you're a bit out there, you can be a bit,
it's not even a bit, because I feel like that is such a, like girls who are a bit like more out there, like girls who are a bit
confident,
I don't even want to say confident, maybe you're just a bit more vocal. I think people can think,
that's looked down upon.
How can this one be a wife? But I don't think it has to be like that. It's all about like, you can be blunt, like I'm quite blunt. I say like, what is this, like kind of thing. But then sometimes there is that caveat of like, I'm not trying to be mean, I hope you do understand that. And you're married to someone who knows you're like that.
Well, it doesn't mean that they have to accept it. That's where they become,
And I think I'm also married to someone who's blunt, so it just works for it works for the both of us. But enough. Like, I think maybe if he was somebody who was more sensitive, it would have to be like, oh, like I don't appreciate when you say things like this, and then it's up to you to adjust. I think.
Fabulous. Okay, I've loved this conversation. And
but I've been married for 3 minutes. I keep saying, this is 3 minutes of marriage.
You know what? I dislike when people do stuff like that.
Really?
I really do, because I think people will always have something. If you have 1 week of experience, you have more experience than me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you have 1 week of experience, 2 weeks of experience in a particular thing, you have more experience than me. So there is something that you could always share. Yeah. So when I hear people talking about, oh yeah, I've been married for a year, or I've been married for 2 seconds, I don't know anything. No, you do know something. You have some knowledge to impart. So I think there's always, I just don't like when people say that. So like in the same way that you've been married for 3 minutes, like you're saying, you just shared some things that people will look at and be like, you know what, this is something that I need to think about going into marriage. But final question that I have for you, what are some of the things that you would encourage people who are in the stage of like getting married or coming to get married to think about beyond the aesthetic of like the day and everything?
Oh my gosh, you have to actually first of all think about beyond the aesthetic of the day. Let's actually start there. Like that is important for you to have a mindset that remembers that this is not for Instagram. Because when you're like, I don't know what kind of things when your husband leaves his socks on the floor every single day and it's irritating you, does Instagram see that? No, it doesn't. How do you react to that? How do you respond? That doesn't happen to me, by the way, before I get like, why are you talking?
That always seems to be the example that people use of like the socks on the floor.
The socks on the floor. That is probably even me that's leaving my socks on the floor. But like whatever it is, people are not there in the marriage with you. And I feel like you have to be so invested in like making this thing work. And I don't mean to the point where if somebody is mistreating you or abusing you or whatever you say, that's not funny, but like I'm not talking about that. But I think that beyond the wedding day, remember that like you are entering like a covenant. You are entering an agreement, and the agreement is we are going to do the best that we can to make each other the best that we can be for each other, for ourselves, and for the society that we live in. That is such a big thing, and you have to be so invested in that. So if it means you need to go to therapy before you get married, go and do that. If it means that you need to sort out your finances, go and do that. If there's certain bad traits that you have, so can I just mention a pet peeve? I'm going to mention a very slight pet peeve, right, which is very personal. I think, for example, we normalize some really bad behaviors, specifically in women. Okay. Yeah, and I'm for the girls. Everybody knows this. I'm for the girlies. Yeah. But like, for example, like being passive aggressive or giving silent treatment. I know that men do that as well, but I think even in like female friendships and stuff, people can have these behaviors, and you'll just be like, oh, happy wife, happy life. Like if she's like that, just go and rub her bum and be hugging her. No, like change. That
that is so funny.
Just change. Like it's not good. And you have to be like, if you even if your friends call it out in you, there's certain behaviors that you have. Or because you can, and this is my unpopular opinion, and I'm going to say, or because you can throw it down in the kitchen, or because you're clean, or because you look cute, you can do your makeup. If you have bad personality, bad character, you have to work on it. You have to. And I think sometimes we emphasize so much, especially with women, so much of like what you can do on a practical level that we don't always talk about like inner healing. So
beyond aesthetic, look into within and sorting the things that are within. No, that's 100%. Really important. Thank you so much for this conversation. It's been lovely having you. Thank you for imparting your knowledge. And hopefully we will continue to have these conversations and bring you back at some point. But I hope that you guys continue to have a blissful marriage, and I pray that God will continue to bless your home. And thank you for sharing with us.
That is so cute. Thanks, Steph. I wish the same for you too.
Thank you. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe and also stay connected with us on social media. Until next time, stay tuned for more glimpses behind the veil.